The word of the day is hurricane. Hey, everybody, we're back with another episode of Diamond Chat this week. No Tim Alcorn. He is gone on vacation, huh? So we're gonna split the rules up. We're going to change things. No clock this week. We're not going to put a lot of pressure on Bull. You don't have to talk all day long like Shaun does. So we're going to get right to it today. We've got a lot of district games been going on, so let's talk about some results there.
Well, we could begin to the baseball side of things. It was a pretty interesting district, semis, finals, and finals last week. I thought it was pretty interesting taking a look at the Division 1, 2, and 3 levels last week. Elyria Catholic came away with a win in their first game. They won in their district semi, beating Lutheran West 3-2, but then ultimately fell, and they lost because of a huge inning surrender to Kirtland. They lost 15-7, so they saw their season come to an end. At the Division 2 level, well, the Firelands Falcons are still playing. As a matter of fact, they punched their ticket to the regional semis. They'll play at Bowling Green's Carter Park this coming Thursday as they won, and they will advance. They'll face Wapakoneta coming up on Thursday at BG's Carter Park. And then, of course, at the Division I level, Amherst just continues to roll. They beat Olmsted Falls in the district semis, and then they were able to punch their ticket into the regional semi by winning the district championship. After a great pitching performance by Jack Fate, they were able to take down St. Ed's.
Yeah, on the softball side, real exciting Division I tournament over there at Avon Lake. Elyria beat Midview. Elyria was the number 1 seed. They beat number 4 seed Midview 6-3 in the semifinal. They had to rally to win that. They were down early. And on the other semifinal, number 2 Amherst beats number 3 Olmsted Falls 4-0 in 8 innings, which is kind of an odd score for an extra inning game. Well, that's because they had a walk-off grand slam there by Casey McGraw in the 8th inning, so that was pretty exciting for them. And then in that final, Elyria beats Amherst 5-4 in 9 innings in the district final. So Elyria's on into the regional championship. Division II, Keystone did not surrender a run against they're the top seed against number 4 Firelands. They won 5-0 in the district semis, and then against number 2 Holy Name, they won 3-0 in the district final. So Keystone kind of dominated, at least defensively and pitching wise. Sidney Campbell had 2 great games. They go on and they move on as well. So we have two teams on through the regionals. The other action there, Division III, number 1 Independence beat number 2 Wellington 4-0 in their district final, and number 1 Hillsdale beat number 4 Columbia 3-0 in a district semi. Those are the other games we had locally for softball districts this week.
Look at you guys. See, we don't need the clock. We're fine. So districts are kind of wrapping themselves up, which takes us on to regionals. So who wants to start off? And we'll talk a little bit about regionals today.
I'll go first this time. The regional matchups, as I said, Elyria and Keystone are through. Elyria is facing Perrysburg 2 p.m. At Clyde High on Wednesday in the regional semifinal. Elyria is ranked number 8 in the state in Division I. Perrysburg's ranked number 3 in the state in Division I. So obviously on paper, Elyria is the underdog in this matchup. However, I've seen Elyria be the underdog before. Most notably this season, they went up against the number 2 team in the nation against Hurricane, West Virginia, and they came away with a win there. So you can't count Elyria out. It doesn't matter what it says on paper, whether they should win or lose. A lot of times they come away with wins all the time in games they're not supposed to. So I really expect Elyria to do well there. They've done well in the regionals. They generally do really well in the regional tournament, so that should be good for them. And then on the D2 side, number 1 Keystone versus number 3 Oak Harbor. Those are state rankings. Keystone's ranked number 1 in the state in Division II. Oak Harbor's ranked number 3 in the state. They will meet at the exact same time, 2 p.m. on Wednesday at Tiffin University Sports Complex in a regional semifinal. I fully expect Keystone to keep doing what they're doing. They're undefeated this year. They're using great pitching and great defense to win games. I expect them to go in there and be able to come away with a win against Oak Harbor.
Can I give Shaun a high five here for a quick second? Because you got Hurricane right.
Hurricane.
I lived about 20 minutes away from Hurricane, West Virginia for about 6 years. Hurricane is spelled like you would spell hurricane.
Right.
And everybody outside of West Virginia calls it hurricane.
Yes.
But it's Hurricane.
I was schooled on that. There was actually a couple who lived in Hurricane, and their daughter went to Hurricane, and they believe it or not, transferred to Keystone. So I was talking to them before I went down to the Windy Spring Classic to watch that game, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's Hurricane, West Virginia." So I've ingrained that in myself, and now it's Hurricane.
Yeah.
The word of the day is hurricane.
That's
Hurricane.
right.
Yeah, there's a big truck dealership down there. The Logan was, "Hurricane's got your trucks, man. Hurricane's got your trucks." I'll never forget that. That's probably how I remembered it. But regardless, I heard you say that, and I thought, holy cow, he nailed Hurricane.
That's right.
Nobody else I know outside of West Virginia ever nailed Hurricane. Well, taking a look at the baseball regional previews here, I mean, you've got two teams in the area that are going to advance, and they have a chance to play at least one more time this year. Taking a look at what Amherst has done this year, the pitching has obviously been fantastic. What Evan Shawver's done, nothing short of magnificent. Well, Amherst is going to draw Strongsville in their regional semifinal game at Tri-C. That takes place on Thursday. Also on Thursday, Firelands looks to continue their season as they keep rolling. They'll take on a Wapakoneta team that is really good also. They're loaded. They've got some really good pitching also. Boy, having a lot of pitching really helps you out this late in the tournament because you have to have a big arsenal of arms, and if you've only got one stud on your staff, that makes things really difficult on day two.
Wow, see? I love it. Shaun, you
We're
were
efficient.
you were a little long. Okay, so we usually have state polls. This week we don't have any, but we've got something even better, right?
Yeah. Well, Keystone, number one in the state poll in the week 5 state poll. We're waiting on the final poll, which is the week 6 poll, because I think they'll release that either after regionals or maybe right after state. So they're kind of holding off on that. That would normally have been out early this week, but it did not come out. So instead, Keystone makes its debut on the USA Today Super 25 National High School Softball Rankings at number 8. Good debut, all the way up there in the top 10, number 8. So, they're sitting at 8. Just not surprising to me. I mean, they're 30-0. I think Sydney Campbell's thrown, some perfect games. She's thrown, I think 3 perfect games. She's thrown like 19 shutouts. I remember we talked last week about what they're outscoring teams, something like 300 and some runs to 13 or something like that. And like I said, they went through the district tournament without surrendering a run. They're undefeated. So, that's big news. That's pretty impressive, I thought.
It's pretty impressive.
Super impressive.
So, Bull, you get a pass on this one. So we're going to jump right over to outstanding performances. So we were talking a little earlier, and I know you had a couple good ones. So let's start with you.
There were a couple that stood out to me. I had the pleasure of calling the Elyria Catholic baseball win over Lutheran West. They were able to get over the hump and beat a team that eliminated them from tournament contention last year. I thought Jack Laird pitched a phenomenal game. Now, he ran into a little bit of trouble along the way, but he was able to pitch well enough. It was one of those games where he really had to battle his way through 7 innings in order to get to the finish line, but I thought he pitched really well to get them into the district final. And then, of course, you look at what Jack Faith did for Amherst. I mean, that was a remarkable pitching performance against St. Ed's. He was able to shut them down. I think he allowed just a hit. He struck out 15 along the way. And again, when you look at a pitching staff like that, Evan Shawver is the first name that always pops up. Well, Fate, I thought, did a wonderful job in that game as securing the district championship.
I'll go over a couple games outside the district tournament because there were some significant regular season games played this week. Starting with Avon and Midview. Avon, it was a continuation of a game that got rained out early second week of May. And Avon ends up pulling out a win over Midview, 7-6, which was significant because that clinched a share of the Southwestern Conference title for Amherst, because Amherst was 1 loss behind Midview. Midview then the next day went and beat Lakewood 6-5 to clinch their share. So Midview and Amherst, for the second straight year, share the Southwestern Conference championship. And then Elyria, after 2 big district games, go in the day after that and beat Medina 6-5 in 8 innings to clinch the outright Greater Cleveland Conference championship for the second or third year. I don't know if they've won all 3 outright. I think they maybe shared with Medina the very first year of the tournament, but I think they've won 2 straight outright titles. And then some of the individual performances, I'll try to go through them quick, as I always do.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. But we'll start with pitching. These are double-digit pitching performances. Madison Oberg of Amherst had 10 strikeouts versus Olmsted Falls in a 1-hit Division I district semifinal. Awesome performance. Ashley Strauss from Firelands, 13 strikeouts against Lutheran West in a perfect game. Another fantastic performance. Sydney Campbell, 11 strikeouts versus Firelands in the Division II district semifinal. And Ashley Strauss again, 11 strikeouts in a pack rainout makeup game. And then hit-wise, Emily Stewart from Firelands, 4 hits, 2 homers, and 5 RBIs in a game. Grace Spencer from Black River, 4 hits, a double and a triple. Marley McNulty from Keystone, 4 hits, including a home run. Liz Allen from Clearview had 4 hits, and Kendall Brassey from Wellington also had 4 hits, just a freshman. So some big hits on both sides there at the pitching and in hitting.
Very good. All right, so I guess we're down to the bright smile here, aren't we?
Yes, the bright smile, I think, reverts over to the softball side this week. And if you saw the Chronicle's Player of the Week that ran a couple, earlier this week, you might already know who it is. It's April Hauser from Elyria, senior leader on that team. Just had big performances in the 3 games this week, in the district semifinal, the district final, and in the GCC title clinching game against Medina. She got 3 hits in both the district games, and they were both comeback wins over Midview and Amherst, including the walk-off hit in extra innings against Amherst to clinch the district championship and move Elyria on to the regionals. Plus, she had a big hit in that GCC title clinching game against Medina. I think she ended up going 7 for 13. Bunch of extra base hits, runs scored, and RBIs. So just a big week for her to help Elyria to probably the biggest week of the season. A district championship and a conference clinching game. So bright smile goes out to April Hauser. She did it last year at the regional tournament. So we expect her to do big things this upcoming week, because that was her platform last year, was Elyria won the Division I state championship. So
beautiful. Okay, listen, we were going to wrap it up, but just quickly before we go, because the one thing I'm hearing week after week are these performances. So, yeah, Sean's nervous. He's afraid what I'm going to ask. So we'll start with you, Bull. In general, what do you think of the performances that we've seen this year? Because it seems like there have just been some just crazy good players and just really solid teams. Are we doing a little better than average this year? It feels like it to me.
I think so, and I think everybody up here playing a spring sport, maybe not just baseball and softball, you're at a bit of a disadvantage because practice schedules are all out of whack. You don't know when you're going to practice. You don't know when you're going to play. I would say anybody north of Columbus is dealing with a lot of the same issues. You just don't know what your week's going to look like one week after the other. A lot of times you're forced to play 5 games in 3 days because that's the only window that you've got to work with. So I'm always impressed by how well teams in our coverage area do, because you're not dealt the same hand a lot of teams from the southern part of the state are forced to deal with. So to have as many teams still alive at this point in the season, I think is just very, very impressive to me.
Yeah, on the softball side, I've been covering softball for 15 to 20 years now, but only really kind of the main beat writer of the high school scene for the last couple years. So I've gotten more in depth into dealing with it. But to me, honestly, it does seem like there's some great performances, a lot of great performances out there, but probably more so just because it's the latest season that I'm watching, because I know this happens all the time. I look through my record books and see some of the greats throughout history, what they've done at Keystone and Elyria, and those are the 2 teams that are still alive. So it's kind of, for the softball side, it's kind of old hat. This has become the norm. The people on the outside looking in that maybe come to Lorraine County and watch the softball scene around here are like, wow, this is pretty amazing. But for those who live here, this is how it's done. These girls work year-round. They're in winter leagues, they're in fall leagues, they're in travel leagues during the summer. They have their high school seasons. They're working year-round. They're putting up big numbers. They're always, continuing to get great. We have unbelievable amounts of numbers of girls going on to play college ball. So it's been a great year, but it's always a great year when it comes to Lorraine County softball.
Good stuff. All right, well said. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week. I think we carried on fairly well in Tim's absence. We survived. I pressed play on the audio and the video, so we're done. We'll see you guys next week, and should have a lot of good stuff to talk about next week.
Season finale next week. Let's do it.
Right on. All right, guys. Thanks.